Jake's a consummate professional, 75 movies made. You know, I'm blessed to have entered into the movie alongside him. He was patient with me. He gave me guidance, and I just took it.
If you like our videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and get notified on our channel. From slurred interviews to shocking public incidents, it's hard to believe that the king of the octagon could fall so far, so fast. How did the Notorious one go from ruling the UFC to battling his own demons? But before we dive into the drama that followed, let's rewind and relive the insane rise of McGregor, from the scrappy underdog to the king who had the whole fight world at his feet. Trust me, you'll want to remember just how high he flew before we talk about how hard he fell. Conor McGregor, the man who didn't just step into the UFC, he practically kicked the door off its hinges and declared, "I own this place now, yeah?" I know you all read that in his voice. Never gets old, does it? From the moment he entered the octagon, it was clear this wasn't just another fighter trying to make a name for himself. No, McGregor was a full-blown spectacle, a one-man show with fists as sharp as his tongue. He wasn't just here to win fights, he was here to take bodies, and boy, did he deliver.
Nothing against Edward. Oh, whoa. What you gonna do? Oh, whoa. You gonna do something over there?
In the early days, McGregor was like a hurricane with a game plan. His fighting style was a thing of beauty. If beauty could knock your teeth out with a left hook, precision, check, power, check. An ability to make even seasoned fighters look like they were trying out MMA for the first time, double check. And then there was his mouth. Oh, that mouth. McGregor didn't just talk trash, he turned it into an art. He was the Shakespeare of smack talk. The man had a silver tongue and a golden punch, and when he said he was going to put someone to sleep, you'd better believe that person was getting tucked in early. People thought he was crazy. No way he knocks out Aldo in the first round, they said. Well, 13 seconds later, those same people were picking their jaws up off the floor. 13 seconds. That's all it took for McGregor to cement his place in UFC history, and for the rest of the world to realize they were witnessing something special. It wasn't just a knockout, it was a mic drop moment that left everyone speechless. Except McGregor, of course. He had plenty to say, as always. But as they say, the higher you rise, the harder you fall. And McGregor's insane rise to fame was about to hit some serious turbulence. McGregor's rise to fame was paved with cash, fame, and a whole lot of whiskey. You remember the Mayweather fight, right? Of course you do. It was billed as the biggest fight in combat sports history. And it was McGregor's golden ticket to a different kind of fame. And boy, did it work. McGregor walked away with a cool $100 million, and suddenly, he wasn't just a fighter. He was a global superstar, rolling in cash and living the high life.
Proper 12. Proper Irish whiskey from a proper Irish shop. That's what I'm talking about. We came here to have a buzz with this.
But here's the thing about money. It doesn't just change your bank account, it can change you too. And then came the whiskey. Proper 12. The drink that was supposed to be McGregor's way of cashing in on his Irish roots and his larger-than-life persona. Launching a whiskey brand was a genius move, at least on paper. It gave McGregor another revenue stream, one that didn't involve getting punched in the face. But here's where things get tricky. McGregor didn't just sip on his whiskey, he practically bathed in it. The man who once trained like a machine now seemed more interested in partying and promoting his booze than in preparing for his next fight. And let's be honest, when your pre-fight routine involves more shots of whiskey than jabs in the gym, things are bound to go south. When the spotlight shifts and the cheers fade, the consequences of living large start to catch up. McGregor's case was no different.
Jake's a consummate professional, 75 movies made. You know, I'm blessed.
Which brings us to his substance abuse. Now, I'm not saying McGregor was caught red-handed with anything, but if you've seen some of his recent interviews and public appearances, it's hard to ignore the signs. There was that time he showed up to a press conference looking, well, let's just say, less than sharp. His speech was slurred, his eyes were glassy, and the guy who once had the sharpest tongue in the game now seemed like he was struggling to keep up with his own thoughts. People started to wonder, was it just the whiskey talking, or was there something more going on? And then there were the rumors, whispers that McGregor was dabbling in more than just the occasional drink. The way he'd fidget, constantly lick his lips, or seem completely zoned out in interviews. These weren't the behaviors of a man who was in control. It's like watching someone trying to keep it together while the walls are closing in. Don't even get me started on Conor's late-night Twitter videos. They're like watching a real-life reality show where the star is convinced they're the main character in a blockbuster action movie, but they're actually just sitting in their living room wearing a bathrobe and arguing with a potted plant. Hilarious, nonetheless. The Conor McGregor, who once had the world eating out of the palm of his hand, now seemed like he was teetering on the edge of something darker, something he couldn't quite shake. As if the substance abuse allegations weren't enough, McGregor's legal troubles started piling up like unwanted junk mail. It felt like every other week there was a new headline. McGregor caught in a bar brawl. McGregor accused of assault. McGregor facing charges for smashing someone's phone. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Each incident chipped away at the polished image he had once so carefully crafted. And let's not forget that infamous moment in Miami when he was arrested after allegedly slapping a fan's phone out of his hand and stomping on it.
Back mount. There's the choke. He's got it. It's under the neck. There it is. Nope, it's on the chin. There's the tap.
But perhaps the most significant turning point in McGregor's fall from grace was his fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov and the hell that unfolded in its aftermath. After the fight, McGregor's behavior became more erratic, his legal troubles more frequent, and his public appearances more concerning. The man who had once been on top of the world was now spiraling, and everyone could see it. The aura of invincibility was gone, replaced by a cloud of scandal and suspicion. It was as if the bright lights of fame had finally burned out, leaving McGregor in the dark, struggling to find his way back to the fighter he once was. What a fall from grace, with Conor McGregor standing at a crossroads, one path leading to redemption and the other to the permanent status of a has. The million-dollar question is whether the man who once ruled the UFC with an iron and a silver tongue can find his way back to the top. Can McGregor overcome his demons, shake off the scandals, and reclaim his throne? If anyone's capable of pulling off a comeback for the ages, it's Conor McGregor, right? But let's be honest, the odds are stacked against him. His upcoming fight against Michael Chandler can be a good starting point. This isn't just another bout on the UFC calendar, this is McGregor's shot at proving to the world and to himself that he's still got it. Chandler's no pushover. He's a top-tier fighter with the skills and power to put anyone to sleep. But if McGregor can pull off a win, especially in the dominant fashion that made him famous, it could be the spark he needs to reignite his career. This fight is more than just a comeback. It's a chance for McGregor to remind everyone why he was the king of the octagon. And there you have it, people. The wild ride of Conor McGregor from the top of the world to the edge of oblivion. And maybe, just maybe, on his way back up. Whether he's about to pull off the greatest comeback in UFC history or flame out in spectacular fashion, one thing's for sure. It's going to be must-see TV. So smash that like button if you think McGregor's got one more knockout left in him. Hit subscribe if you're ready to see how this story ends, and don't forget to drop a comment below, because as McGregor himself would say, you'll do nothing without it. Catch you in the next one, and until then, stay notorious. So what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.